Well, thank you very much, Catherine, for that introduction and for the song as well. Yes, I'm Claire from Tales of a Backpacker, and I've also just launched a brand new site as well called This Travel Lover. So please do check it out and let me know what you think. If you have any questions or comments throughout the presentation, please do tweet me. We'll be going through some of the tweets at the end. I am at Claire Stirs, and the hashtag to use is Travel Story Qs or Travel Story QS. So yeah, let us know what you think, and we'll go through some of them at the end. So it's a travel story event. I'm going to be sharing my personal travel story with you. But first, I also want to talk about why sharing our travel stories is so important. So who here loves travel? There we go. Yeah, everybody, right? It's a travel event. And travel is an amazing thing. And a lot of us here are in the travel industry. Our job, our purpose is to inspire people to travel. But usually that's to travel to a specific destination, take a tour, go to a certain restaurant. But I'm talking about inspiring people to travel anywhere. Excuse me. But why is it so important that we inspire people to travel? I mean, any of us, even if your job has nothing to do with travel, we still inspire other people to travel. And when you go on holiday, you come back, you have an amazing time. You put your photograph on Instagram or Facebook. Here's me having a cocktail on the beach. Isn't it fabulous? I had a great time. You should go there too. So we all inspire other people to travel. And this is why I think it's so important that we do inspire people to travel. Right, this is a quote by Mark Twain. You've probably all seen it before. But to me, this really sums up why travel is so important and why events like this, inspiring people to travel, are also so important. You know, travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. And broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. And that is why it's so important to travel. We travel to learn about ourselves and about the world. And the more that we do learn about ourselves and each other, I think the happier the world is going to be. So that's why I think it's important to travel and to share our travel stories. But how can we inspire people to travel, right? We want to talk about why we travel. That's the really inspirational thing. And by sharing our own travel stories, we can then inspire other people to travel. So have a think, what's your travel story? We all said we love travel, but why? Why do you love travel? Why is travel so important to you? Have a think about it. Please tweet me, Claire Stirs, and use the hashtag TravelStoryQs, and we'll go through some of them at the end. And my travel story, how did I end up here? I've been traveling pretty much non-stop for the last 3.5 years, but it wasn't always like that. Unlike my intro song, I wasn't born to be wild. I was born in Southport, in Merseyside, doing the normal thing, as you do. But it didn't take me very long to realise that travel was an important part of my life. My first passion, however, was horses and animals, and I wanted to be a vet for a long time. Then that changed when we went on a family holiday. We went to Florida. I went to Disney World, obviously. But it wasn't Disney World that stuck in my mind. It was actually these animals. And I decided that instead of being a vet, I wanted to work in Florida and look after the manatees. So still, animal-orientated, but that was my first thought about travel. Then I came back to school. I started studying, I went to high school, so I started taking French classes. And I actually realized that I was quite good at French. And I liked the idea of being able to go to France and talk to people in French. And I thought, if I go to France, I could also go to Canada. I could also go to parts of Africa and talk to people in French there as well. So then I studied my GCSEs, did really well. Then I thought about what I wanted to just study for A-levels, and I thought, Spanish would also be a good idea, so I could talk to more people. And then by the time I got to university, travel really was at the forefront of my mind. I went to the University of Leeds, and I studied French and Spanish, knowing that I was going to get the opportunity to travel as part of my degree. My first year, I studied in Leeds the whole time. Then I decided that I wanted to go somewhere different. So after my first year of study, I wanted to go and work in America for the summer. So I decided to go to a ranch in Wisconsin, of all places. I don't know why Wisconsin, but whatever. And there I was enjoying the travel. So travel was still really, really important for me. And then I came back. I went to stayed in Leeds again. And then for my third year, I went to Barcelona for my year abroad. And I loved Barcelona. I absolutely fell in love with it. I studied there for a year, but I say study really means I drank a lot of cheap sangria, spent a lot of time on the beach. But I was there, and I loved it. Then I came back to Leeds for my final year. Then I thought, oh, God, I really love this travel thing. I wanted to do more. So I went to work in France for the summer on a campsite in the south of France. And then I started looking for a proper job in France. I really had the idea that I wanted to settle there. It was still travel-related, really wanted to go. But then I ended up coming back to Leeds to my graduation. And then, I don't know, things just changed. I met someone, I started a relationship in Leeds. I got a normal job. And those dreams of travel gradually got a little bit further away. I lived in Leeds for about 4 years, and then I realized that I wasn't happy there anymore. I wasn't happy in my relationship. I stopped going out, I stopped seeing my friends, and I knew that something had to change. So we separated, I split up from my relationship, and I moved to Liverpool first, and then I went to Manchester. So not exactly a dream destination, but it was a step in the right direction. After so long of being trapped in this situation that I wasn't happy with. So at the time, I had a regular job. I was an events manager. And I was actually working in Manchester for one of the top football clubs in Manchester as their wedding coordinator. Now, I wasn't going to say which one, but it was Manchester United. So I was the wedding coordinator at Manchester United, which was a dream job for many people, I'm sure. But I actually hated it. I didn't like the people, I didn't feel comfortable there, and I actually wasn't very good at it. The job role changed, it was more of a sales role, and I really didn't like it. But I struggled on, I'm not a quitter, I don't like to give up on things, but anyway, long story short, I got fired. I was living in Manchester, this was 10 days before my 30th birthday. I had a terrible week. I also got dumped by my boyfriend that week. So there I was, 30 years old, living in Manchester, no job, no boyfriend, no house, no marriage, no nothing, basically. So, I panicked, obviously. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I was looking for another job in Manchester. And then I suddenly had this light bulb moment. Oh my God, I've got no house, I've got no job, I've got no husband. I've got no husband, I've got no ties, I've got no responsibilities, and no reason to stay in Manchester anymore. So I booked a one-way flight to Barcelona, this amazing city that I'd spent a year studying in. And I went with, again, no job, nowhere to live. I saved up enough money, just figured, maybe 3 months I'd give it a go in Barcelona. And it was okay. I found a place to live. This is the first room that I rented in Barcelona. Not amazing, but whatever, it was in Barcelona. I found a terrible job, but that didn't last very long either. I found some friends, and I started to settle into life in Barcelona. Then as time went on, I lived in Barcelona for about 3 years. I found a better place to live with a very nice terrace. We had awesome barbecues, very nice parties up there. And I've met some really good friends. I found a good job that I really enjoyed. But then, again, as time went on, I realized that I wasn't happy there. There was something still missing for me. So instead of waiting to be fired from my job this time, I decided to quit. So I quit my job, and I went backpacking in South America. Oh, sorry, that was Barcelona again. Barcelona's amazing, by the way. But it just wasn't for me anymore. So I went traveling in South America. It was a big risk, obviously, But because I knew that I'd done it before, I'd started again from scratch. I'd found another job, I'd found some friends, I'd found a place to live. I knew that after this amazing backpacking trip, I could come back and start again. I knew that, and because I knew that, I'd lost the fear. Right? That fear that we all have. What would happen if we lose our job? What would happen if we dump that boyfriend that we really don't like anyway? What would happen if we lost our home, our job? I lost that fear, and it was that lack of fear, the freedom, that really made me able to follow my dreams and go traveling. Had an amazing time in South America, absolutely loved it. Came back fully expecting to start real life again, get a real job, do the responsible thing. But I couldn't do it. There was no way I could spend another second working in an office. So I left again. I went off again to Mexico, Central America, Cuba, spent some more time traveling. And it was the best decision I ever made. I have had some amazing experiences. There we go, more amazing experiences. I have bathed in the waters of Angel Falls in Venezuela. I've partied in Rio for Carnival, climbed ancient pyramids in Mexico, and a live volcano in Guatemala. But the main thing is, it was all after being fired from my job. Right? I never would have done any of these things had I not been fired, had I not had to come up from nothing. And that's really the travel story that I want to share, is that if you're going through some tough times in your life, if it all seems to be going horribly wrong, don't panic. You can still turn it into something amazing. And it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It could be the beginning of something really amazing. And if I can do it, then anyone can do it. Trust me. And that's really the inspiration, my travel story I want to share, is that anything is possible. So hopefully that might inspire you to take that trip, to follow your dreams. And enjoy.